How's she going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to Grampie's Workshop. Boys, I'm glad you dropped in. I have some more follow-up and information about past projects and things that's going on around the shop here, so let's have a look. Alright, I want to talk about working in an uninsulated space in the wintertime. My shop is 24 by 26 and it's uninsulated. So I wanted to work out here in the wintertime, so what did I do? Well, I had a wood stove for a while. That worked great. The trouble with the wood stove was I have a central dust collecting system, and my dust collector, I placed that outside of the shop, so it's out in the shed alongside the shop here. It's out of the weather and everything, but it's outside the shop. The reason I did that is because the dust collector is not dust proof. It sucks up sawdust nice, but it was also putting a fine mist of sawdust and dust back into the air inside the shop here. So I put the dust collector outside, solved that problem. But the trouble is, when I had a fire going in the stove, when I turn on the dust collector, it's sucking out hundreds of cubic feet of air when it's picking up the sawdust, so it was drawing the smoke back down the flue and out into the stove. I was cutting here one day and I thought the place was on fire, because when I looked up, the shop was filled with smoke. So anyway, I got rid of my wood stove, figured that's no good, so I took that out. And I ended up putting a diesel space heater in its place. The way I run the space heaters, I come out to the shop, or I would come out to the shop, turn the space heater on for about a half hour till it warmed up, shut it off, and then I have ceramic infrared heaters, 2 of them that I'd run in the shop, and then they're not space heaters, they're object heaters, so they would keep me warm when I stand in front of them. They would keep me warm, and they'd warm up the tools and, you know, the machine, whatever it is I was working on. So that was working great. And I also have a carbon monoxide detector, so any off gases from the diesel, you know, I detect those with my carbon monoxide detector, and it would alert me that I'm in a dangerous spot, so I'd open a window or door or something like that. But anyway, I found after that was working good, like I say, but then I found out that, you know, after 2 or 3 days like that, I was getting condensation everywhere. So I had puddles of condensation on the floor, honest to God. And then, because I only heat the shop, you know, maybe maybe three times a week, back last year it was about 3 times a week, I'd come out in the morning and it'd be ice on the floor. Wow, go skating in here. So anyways, I tried many different things to battle this condensation issue. I put in a vent fan, and that was a total waste of time. I think it did absolutely nothing. I put in circulation fans, you know, many different things I tried to get rid of the condensation, but they all failed. And this year, I haven't been to the shop nearly as often. I've only come out to the shop maybe once a week if I get out here then, and I don't stay out here for any length of time. Like today, I'm out here, but I never put any heat on, and it's about, I don't know, 3 degrees out here this morning, kind of chilly. But I don't put any heat on, and this winter I've had no condensation on the floor. Oh, well, a little bit build up, you know, in the walls where just you're exhaling, your moist breath will condense on the wall and it'll drip down, put a little wet spot at the bottom of the wall. But other than that, no condensation on the floor. So what I've deduced is my diesel fired heater, my diesel fired space heater was the culprit for creating all that condensation. Diesel heaters, of course, are very notorious for putting moisture into the air, because it's burning the air that's already in the shop. It just takes that air, heats it up, puts it back in the shop. So it's not taking air from outside that's dry, heating it up, put it in the shop. It's taking already moist air that's in the shop and putting more moisture in it as it heats it up and putting it back out in the shop. So yeah, I was getting lots of moisture, condensation on the floor. So what does all that mean? All that means is the money I spent on my diesel fired space heater, I should have spent that on insulation. In hindsight 2020, as we all know. So that would have been a much better thing, would have been to buy insulation with the money I spent on the diesel heater. But I didn't do that, and I had the diesel heater, and I'm not sorry I have it, because, you know, for the amount of time that I'm working in the shop, say this winter, the diesel heater was working good. I'd come out, you know, put the heater on, like I say, for 20-30 minutes. The shop would warm up good enough for me to do what I had to do, and then I'd get out, and not much condensation on the floor at all this year in the shop. Like, the tools aren't rusty or anything. So anyway, the bottom line is, if you have an uninsulated workspace in the wintertime, don't use a heat source that's not vented from the outside. I think if I were to set up my diesel heater where it could draw air from the outside, the condensation wouldn't be so bad. So there you go. That's just my 2 cents worth. Take it if you will, or you can just laugh like I'm doing. All right, another thing I want to talk about is the tires I put on the ATV. These tires, I got them from an online supplier, and I just stumbled upon that supplier. I'll put a link down below to the link where I bought these tires, but they're great. They had millions of different kinds of tires available, and good prices too. That's what I liked, and quick shipping. I think I ordered them on a Thursday, and the next Tuesday they were here at the camp. So great. Now, I haven't put a lot of miles on the ATV this winter, but I have been out several times, and of course snow is not really hard on, like, tires don't wear much when you drive them in the snow. But I have to say, for traction, these were great. The tread pattern on them is excellent. I had good traction in the snow, didn't get stuck. I never even had a problem going through the snow. And, when I first put them on, I aired them up to 7 pounds per tire. I found the ride was kind of rough and bumpy on the bike, and it kind of made it a little bit unstable even. So I softened them up. There's 5 pound pressure in them now, and the bike rides a whole lot better. So yeah, I like these tires. They're nice, they wear well, and the bike, I like the way the bike handles with them on. They're an inch narrower than the original tires that came on the bike, but I don't seem to notice that difference when the way the bike handles or operate. So it's good. I like those tires. Grampie's workshop approved. Okay, another thing I'd like to give you an update on is some time ago, maybe last fall, maybe even longer ago than that, I can't remember. But anyway, I had a Canon Vixia HF R800 camcorder. Nice camera, nice camera. It had a flip out monitor on it, and you could turn that monitor 180 degrees. It was perfect for YouTube because you could set it up there on the tripod, and you could see what was going on. You could frame up the picture nice and everything. It was great. The resolution on it wasn't terrific. I think it was only maybe, it might have been 1080, but I don't even think it was that good. But anyway, it took nice pictures. It had a great telescopic lens on it too. It was nice. And what I like too is the audio on it was great. It would pick up audio from way across the room. It was a good speaker, good microphone on it. But anyway, the monitor stopped working on this camera, or became intermittent. You'd open it, sometimes it worked, sometimes it wouldn't. Well, that was getting so that I couldn't rely on the camera to use it. So I ended up getting another camera, and we'll talk about that maybe later on down the road, what I ended up with. But anyways, because this camera was so intermittent and basically useless, I decided I'm going to fix it. So I took it out here to the shop, and I made a video about taking that camera apart to try and get the monitor to work again. So I'll put a link to that video. I'll probably put the link up here in this corner, or I'll put it in the description for sure. But anyway, I did take the camera out here in the shop, took it all apart, and like I say, you can check out the video, see how I did all that. Put it all back together. Hey, and the monitor worked. I was so happy. I thought, hey, I fixed it. This is great. But that only lasted about, maybe 3 weeks or a month, maybe. And now the monitor doesn't work at all. It's just, the camera turns on, but the monitor's blank. So, I lost on that one. So my advice is, if you have a digital camera and you're thinking about fixing it, a digital electronic camera, and you're thinking about fixing it, unless you're, skilled in that area, I'd stay away from it. Because at least before it was intermittent, you could use it every now and then. Now I can't use it at all. So that was a fail. I just wanted to give you that follow-up, that my Canon Vixia HF R800 repair was a fail. All right, another thing I want to give you an update on is these orange weatherproof winter work gloves that I bought. I wanted these gloves to be waterproof, windproof, and keep your hands kind of halfway warm. Because I was going to do a lot of work outside this winter with moving the brush and cutting and things like that, and just regular work around the camp, okay? So I ordered these gloves, and I ordered them in extra large, and I tell you what, if I was ever to get them again, I'd get probably the large or the medium, because these are too big for me. The fingers are too long. It makes the dexterity kind of bad. But speaking about dexterity, they have this black covering on the palm of them, and man, oh man, that gives you some good grip. So as far as gripping goes, these are excellent. Whatever you grab a hold of, you don't have to worry about it slipping, that's for sure. They are windproof, and they did keep my hands warm. But my fingers did get cold, I'm not going to lie. My fingers got cold in them, but probably not as cold as if they were in a leather-lined work glove, for example, right? So yeah, pretty nice. I like them. And being windproof, is a big, big benefit. Being waterproof is a big benefit too, but talk about that a little bit later. They have like a terry cloth lining in them, and that lining is nice and soft in the hands, and it feels nice. It's a good material for keeping your hands warm. I was concerned that maybe that liner would pull loose of the fingers or the thumbs or whatever, and then you'd never get them back in there in the right place. But I have to say that hasn't happened. But when I take the gloves off, I pull them off by the fingers instead of just say grabbing the cuff and ripping them off. I take them off by the fingers, pull them off that way to ensure that the liner doesn't get pulled out of the finger holes. So I had no problems with them that way. But what I don't like about these gloves, and the reason that I wouldn't buy these gloves again, is the smell that comes off them. Now they're windproof and waterproof, and that means when you're working with them, your hands sweat, and there's no place for that sweat to go. There's no place for it to evaporate, so it just stays in the liner of the glove. And I'm telling you, the stink that comes off of these gloves after you use them for a while, gag a maggot. They're not stinking now, but the reason they're not is because I took and put about a gallon of water in a tub with a bunch of Lysol disinfectant, and I let these gloves soak for about a day and a half. Then I took them out, tried to wring them out, but I ran into a problem there because they're waterproof, couldn't wring them out. I had to roll up the fingers, like put them down and roll the fingers and try to squeeze as much water out of the cuff as I could, and well, it just didn't work that great. I ended up hanging them up behind the stove there for about 4 days to get them to dry out inside, and they did finally dry out, and they're not stinking now, but they will again, so for that reason and that reason alone, these are not Grampie's Workshop approved. I'm sorry, but they're a good glove besides that, but the stink, just no. Stink is not worth it. So you can get gloves like this that don't have this neoprene backing on the hand. Like they'll have this palm done up with whatever this material is, but the back of them is just like the stretchy cloth here, the what do you call it, spandex or something. So I think that would be good, because then as your hand sweats, it could breathe through the backs of them, but then of course that would make the glove not so windproof. So you win a little and you lose a little. But no, because of the stink of these gloves, after wearing them for a couple, 3 weeks, 4 months, or for a month, I wouldn't get these again. So they're not Grampie's Workshop approved. So trying to tidy up a few loose ends there on some of the products and projects that I've worked on over the last 6 months or a year. So I hope you enjoyed that. So thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget, thumbs up me, and have a great week. We'll talk to you.